Well, that was just the conclusion to the meeting between President Trump and Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The two discussed the rare earths agreement, China, trade, Australia buying submarines from America, and so much more. With our president saying we are strong and amazing allies, he said we play no games with Australia, and he talked about the joint work that they are in the middle of doing and that we can look forward to. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Compagno here with my co-host Harris Faulkner, and also joining us today, Cheryl Casoni, Fox Business anchor and host of American Dream Home, Kellyanne Conway, former senior counselor to President Trump and Fox News contributor, and Paul Morrow, retired NYPD inspector, Fox News contributor, and attorney. So let's take it around the couch because we heard a lot there. And Kellyanne, I want to start with you. The first meeting between the Prime Minister and our president. What stood out to you, and what things can Americans look forward to in this relationship?
Oh, what a great time for us to witness the two of them together. And I'm so glad, as is President Trump's, his entire MO, Emily, to have us inside the room, literally, to listen to them unfiltered and undaunted. This relationship goes back a very long time, of course. And even in the first term, President Trump welcomed the then Prime Minister to the White House. I remember the Prime Minister at the time said, "I've taken the largest delegation in history to the White House." He had financiers and business people and media, obviously, to show how important and vital the relationship is. Then the President and First Lady hosted a state dinner in September of 2019 for the Prime Minister and his wife of Australia. I thought today what stuck out is this is Trump in his second term, 9 months in, sent Scott Bessent to Ukraine early in the winter with the rare earth mineral agreement. And that really started setting the stage to show how vitally important this is to the president in the second term. Now you have Australian ambassador, former Prime Minister Ambassador Australia in the room, Kevin Rudd, who said just this last August, look, here in Australia, we have 43 of the 55 minerals that have been identified as critical by the U.S. Department of Energy and Interior. And he said we are the key to the future of mineral security, which also is national security, economic security for the U.S. And what Australia also has that we can't get out of China, in addition to minerals, is the technology and the talent to match it. China made a mistake with Japan about 15 years ago. They shut down the mineral supply. Japan went to Australia. So we know it can be done. I think you saw two great friends who are going to work together. And I think that you saw a smart Australian Prime Minister who came with a deal in hand. This is a deal maker. I think the opponents are squealing and Donald Trump is dealing, and we see it now with Australia.
And Cheryl, you were so busy doing all of the analysis of what this means for us economically with these critical resources and minerals. So sort of break that down. What could this mean for America?
Well, look, I mean, he's right about the issue with China, and President Trump talked a lot about that in the Oval Office just now, or excuse me, in that cabinet meeting. And the reason is China only holds 36% of the world reserves of rare earth minerals, heavy-duty minerals, we call them, but they're processing 90%. They control the world. This is semiconductors, cars, submarines, jets. And earlier this year, they started to hold back those minerals, the ones that we need for our military. And that's really where this all started and got very, very heated between the United States and China. Australia is trying to step in now and say, hey, we've got the reserves, but we can do the processing. But now President Trump and the administration have to agree to that. And that's where, now that the cameras are off, that's where the devil's going to be in the details and in the deal making here. But the other thing I thought was interesting, he talked about the 157% tariff on China. Right now, we do hold leverage over Xi Jinping. He's been very committed, very vocal about this face-to-face between Xi Jinping and himself that's going to happen in South Korea. The Chinese do not and cannot handle a 157% tariff on them. Back to Australia really quick. That Prime Minister does have Albanese. He has some asks. And the big one, which I'm not sure President Trump's going to agree to, we shall see, he wants them to deal on the tariffs for steel and aluminum. That's hurting Australia. And that's already in place. So he's got to say, hey, give us a carve out. And that's where I'm no longer in the room. I just watched it on television. So stand by for that information.
And I wonder if we sort of got a hint to that, Paul, with our president saying they're going to do low tariffs on Australia. And he said sometime, like, none at all. So it seems like, at least emotionally, and the tenor coming from him is one of absolute support, especially eyeing the benefits to America that could occur.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of vectors blowing through this, I think, that have to be teased out. First of all, America, Australia, traditional allies, were part of the Anglosphere. They're also part of the Five Eyes in the intelligence community. It's them, New Zealand, Canada, us, and the UK, all right? We share intel very closely. And right now, we're morphing into a great powers competition world here. It's us, it's China, and everybody's choosing up sides. There are other players, of course. We want the metals, okay? Now, the metals exist elsewhere, but as Cheryl says, they get processed mostly in China, and that's primarily, we were behind the curve on that for environmental reasons. It's actually very tough to get this stuff out, and it's very diffuse. It's spread all over the place. China doesn't care about that stuff. They just go right at it. We're trying to catch up. So that's the sort of vector there, because we want them from Australia, but Australia has the tariff issue, 50% on the copper and aluminum. So at the time we're telling them we want the metals, we're tariffing metals. So if you're sitting where Albanese is, he's thinking, all right, I got to cut a deal here relative to metals. And then the last thing real quick here is relative to China. What do we want? The metals. What do they want? Our chips. So in addition to the tariffs, they want the NVIDIA chips. These things are all playing out in various areas. But what it really comes down to is, at the end of the day, Australia is our greatest ally in that hemisphere. They're facing China. They're much larger than in terms of size and in terms of people. California has a bigger GDP. Texas has more people. So they're shifting north. They're putting their bases in the north. And what you're seeing is, I hope it's not, but you're seeing a new Cold War, right? The world's choosing up sides. China's in Asia. It's going to play out we're pivoting to Asia finally for real. And I think that's where all this is going, and hopefully it stays as a Cold War.
Yeah, and it's sort of, I see almost two models here that are becoming apparent. We are modeling to the rest of the world what allyship looks like, what benefits could occur, what protection could occur. And we're also modeling to China what happens as they continue to subvert us in so many different arenas. It's sort of showing this could be you in a good way for those allies, and a warning to China.
It's never an even playing field, though, when you try to punish China, because they're willing to punish their own people to stay in the game. Like, they play the game a little bit differently. I loved what you said. So if you're going to the Oval Office, you know what you need now? Bring a deal.
Bring the paper.
So when they sat down and first signed that, both of them, everybody went crazy. Our control room on the Faulkner Focus, we're calling our Washington, D.C. team. We're saying, guys, what's in the deal? We don't know yet. so we've got to figure that out. A couple of things. In the very beginning, what he said he wanted, Albanese, from Australia, yes, the rare minerals, but also taking a defense partnership to the next level. When you do a carve-out, you've got to make sure that you and your allies can withstand whatever China and its huge Navy has now, right? So all the playing fields have to try to be squared. But the thing that really stuck out to me, and this was really a kick in the back of the truck to China, like, how do you level the playing field in processing? You spend those billions of dollars that Albanese just said that the U.S. and Australia are willing to not just put into product, but projects of processing. That's how you do it. This was fascinating. I mean, it was a lot in the weeds of little things. We're going to see what's really in that deal they both just signed after they moved into the cabinet meeting. Now, you would know why they did that. Apparently, the Oval Office wasn't big enough. I don't know. But there was a big scramble to get into a bigger room.
Well, he just loves I've been in the cabinet room recently. Actually, Secretary Rubio took me on a little tour while we were waiting to go in for a meeting, and he said, look at it. And it really does look different. We can all see it. But he's added so much swag. I mean, there's so much. He loves to show it off. The Oval Office probably was not large enough. And I think this is the way to do it. That first meeting with Zelensky was a mistake because it was in the Oval, and Zelensky should have said all that in the privacy of the meeting. Look, I want to just say something quickly that Scott Bessent said 3 days ago. This is the new Trump administration. Pharma, semiconductors, shipbuilding, steel, rare earth critical minerals, and of course, defense. So this is part of a pattern now, and you just have to scratch your head and ask, Biden, sure, but really all past presidents, why was this not protected and progressed before? This guy's doing it in less time than it takes to have a baby. He hasn't been there in 9 months. He's doing it.
Well, I have a thought, because he's in business. He's in world business, not just, politics. And so he's been on a landscape where he would get the information likely in a different way that politicians do.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.